Captain Aiden Cross had spent his life exploring stars, negotiating treaties, and solving problems that no one else could. Today, however, he felt something different. He felt nervous. He was about to meet the ruler of Zyphora, a planet that humans had only studied from afar. No human had ever set foot in her palace, and no human had ever seen the Zyphoran queen without her helmet. The shuttle descended slowly onto the landing platform. The sky of Zyphora was a mix of violet and silver clouds, reflecting the strange sunlight in a way that made everything look almost magical. Aiden pressed his hands together, trying to steady his heartbeat. He had seen images of the Zyphorans before. They were taller than humans, with slender frames, and their helmets always hid their faces, making them seem mysterious and untouchable. Today, that mystery would become reality. The palace doors opened with a soft hum, revealing an enormous hall filled with alien architecture. The walls shimmered like liquid glass, and holographic symbols floated in the air, forming words that no human could read. Aiden walked carefully, following the protocol that had been drilled into him since he was a cadet. Every step echoed in the silence of the palace, a sound that made him feel small in the presence of greatness. At the end of the hall, on a raised platform, stood the Zyphoran queen. She was tall, almost regal in her posture, and her helmet glimmered with a metallic sheen that reflected the light of the room. The helmet was her signature. It hid her expressions and made her seem untouchable, but there was something in the way she held herself. A quiet strength, an awareness that made Aiden feel both nervous and intrigued. Captain Cross, a translator device, buzzed in his ear. The voice was formal but polite. Clearly the Queen's words converted into human speech. "You honor our world with your presence." Aiden bowed slightly. "It is an honor, Your Majesty," he said. He kept his eyes on her helmeted face, trying to read anything he could from her posture, the tilt of her head, even the slightest movement of her hands. The Queen motioned for him to follow her. They walked through corridors filled with glowing plants, corridors that seemed alive in a way Aiden could not explain. The air smelled faintly of ozone and flowers, a combination that made him feel both alert and calm at the same time. As they walked, Aiden noticed small things. The way the guards moved, precise, almost perfectly synchronized. The way the palace lights responded to their movement, dimming and brightening as if aware of their presence. He had been on many alien worlds before, but nothing felt quite like this. There was an elegance, a precision, and an intelligence behind every detail. "Zyphora is beautiful," Aiden said, trying to sound casual, though he felt every word weigh heavily on his tongue. "Your people have done incredible work here." The Queen tilted her head slightly, a gesture that seemed almost human, and the translator buzzed again. "We have worked for generations to protect our world. Humans are curious, unpredictable. That can be useful." Aiden smiled, a little surprised by the compliment. Humans were unpredictable, yes, and sometimes that caused problems, but it also allowed them to solve situations that others could not. He wondered if she had already seen some of humanity's cleverness. They arrived at a large room that overlooked the city below. Towering spires of silver and crystal glimmered under the alien sun. The streets were filled with moving vehicles, creatures, and people, all appearing like a perfectly choreographed dance. Aiden took a deep breath, impressed. Even from this distance, he could see the sheer scale and beauty of Zyphora. "Your city is alive," he said quietly, almost to himself. The Queen did not respond immediately. She simply stood next to him, silent but observant. Then her hand moved slightly and the translator buzzed again. "Life is precious. Order is necessary, but life must flow freely like the rivers below." Aiden nodded, sensing the wisdom behind her words. There was something about her presence that commanded respect, yet also inspired curiosity. He felt drawn to learn more about her people, about the mysteries that the helmet hid. The meeting itself began formally. Humans and Zyphorans had many topics to discuss: trade, exploration, and cooperation. But beneath the political conversation, there was a subtle tension. Every time Aiden looked at her helmet, he felt a strange connection, as if the Queen was more than a ruler, as if she were observing him, studying him, trying to understand him. And he, in turn, could not stop studying her. During a break in the discussions, Aiden walked toward the window, gazing at the city below. He noticed the faintest signs of movement that didn't match the official reports. a small group of individuals gathering quietly, watching from a distance. Something about them seemed off. The Queen joined him silently. Her presence was commanding, yet not intimidating. Aiden felt the air change around him. He wanted to ask her questions, to understand her, but he reminded himself to stay professional. "You notice things," the translator buzzed. Interpreting her voice, "I try," Aiden replied, shrugging slightly. "It's my job to notice." There was a pause, and then, "Observation is important, understanding even more so." Her tone, translated, carried weight. It was more than a statement. It felt like a challenge. Aiden understood that she valued intelligence, insight, and courage. He realized that she was testing him, not with weapons, but with her mind. As the day went on, Aiden found himself caught in a strange mixture of awe and fascination. The Zypherans were highly advanced, but he could sense cracks in their perfection. Small things, hesitation, uncertainty, subtle glances, revealed that even the Queen had doubts and questions. And it was in those moments, the unguarded moments, that Aiden felt the stirrings of something unexpected, something human. He didn't understand why, but every time the Queen moved, he felt a strange admiration. Her strength, her intelligence, and her composure were unlike anything he had seen. And beneath the helmet, he imagined there might be a face capable of kindness, of laughter, of emotion. He tried to push the thought away. It was unprofessional, dangerous even, but it lingered. By evening, the meeting concluded, and Aiden was escorted to the guest quarters prepared for him. As he looked out over the city one last time before leaving the Queen's presence, he could not shake the feeling that this encounter was just the beginning. The Queen's eyes, or what he imagined were her eyes behind the helmet, had seen something in him, just as he had seen something in her. He sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his hands together. The mission was clear: negotiate, observe, and report. Yet in the back of his mind, a quiet, insistent thought kept returning. There was more here than politics and protocol. There was curiosity. There was connection. There was something dangerous, something exciting, something human, and somehow he knew that the Queen, hidden behind her helmet, was thinking the same thing. As the night sky of Zyphora glimmered with twin moons and distant stars, Aiden felt a mixture of anticipation and uncertainty. This was a world of wonders, a civilization far beyond humanity in many ways. Yet he could not help but feel that humans had something special to offer here. Something that might surprise even the most advanced alien race. And somehow he knew that in the days to come, he would discover not only the mysteries of Zyphora, but also the mystery behind the Queen herself. The morning sun of Zyphora rose slowly over the city, painting the sky in shades of violet and gold. Captain Aiden Cross stepped out onto the balcony of his quarters, still feeling the weight of yesterday's encounter with the Queen. He had barely slept, not because he was tired, but because his mind was racing with thoughts about the mysterious ruler. Her helmeted face haunted him, not in a frightening way, but in a way that made him curious, almost restless. He had to remind himself, this was a diplomatic mission. There were protocols, reports, and rules to follow. Personal feelings could not interfere with duty, and yet the sense of anticipation was impossible to ignore. Humans were unpredictable, and Aiden realized that unpredictability could be his strength in a world where logic often ruled over emotion. A soft chime from his wrist communicator brought him back to reality. The translator buzzed with an urgent message. "Captain Cross, urgent meeting requested by Queen Kaylara. Please proceed to the council chamber immediately." Aiden took a deep breath, adjusted his uniform, and followed the escort through the palace corridors. He noticed more of Zyphora's beauty in the morning light. Walls that had appeared static yesterday now seemed alive, reflecting the sun in moving patterns almost like liquid crystals. The palace was not only advanced, it was vibrant, full of energy, and alive in a way that made Aiden feel small yet inspired. When he entered the council chamber, he saw the Queen standing at the center, flanked by her advisors. Today her posture was even more commanding, her helmet catching the morning light and glinting like polished steel. But there was urgency in the room that he hadn't noticed before. Something had changed overnight. "Captain Cross," the translator buzzed as the Queen spoke. "We have a situation. Some of our factions are not satisfied with the negotiations. They threaten to disrupt peace. You will assist us." Aiden's heart skipped a beat. He had expected discussions and diplomacy, not direct involvement in a crisis. "How can I help, Your Majesty?" he asked cautiously. The Queen's gaze seemed to settle on him, and even behind the helmet, Aiden felt the intensity. "Your perspective. Humans are different. Your strategies may be unpredictable yet effective. You will advise and act with our forces." It was not a request. It was a command. Aiden swallowed, understanding the responsibility he was about to shoulder. He had trained for emergencies, but never with an alien civilization on the line. And yet he could feel the trust in her words. The Queen believed in human ingenuity. The council chamber transformed into a command center. Holographic maps of the city appeared in midair, showing movements of rebel factions that had begun to gather in secret. Their numbers were small, but the threat was significant. They had access to advanced weapons far beyond what humans had seen before. Aiden knew that a direct fight would be dangerous. Creativity, speed, and strategy would be required. Aiden moved close to the holographic map, his mind racing. He analyzed the layout of the city, the locations of key government buildings, and the movements of the rebel units. Despite the advanced technology, he noticed gaps in their defense patterns, small blind spots that a human mind could exploit. "If we can predict their path," he said, pointing to a cluster of rebels near a transport hub, "we can set up barriers and intercept them before they reach the palace." An advisor, tall and thin with glowing blue markings on his skin, looked skeptical. "That approach risks too much. Zephyrin soldiers will handle the engagement." Aiden shook his head. "I respect your soldiers, but I have seen what humans can do when we are creative under pressure." "Let me show you." The Queen remained silent, observing. Her presence was calm but commanding, and Aiden felt a surge of confidence. She was trusting him. That trust alone was enough to push him forward. The first strike came faster than expected. Drones, small but fast, descended from the sky, targeting the palace's perimeter. Zephyrin soldiers responded instantly, but Aiden noticed that some of the drones were designed to bypass automated defenses. He acted quickly, using the human tendency to improvise. With a few rapid commands and minor adjustments to the palace's security grid, he redirected the drones into a containment field. The technology responded, not perfectly, but enough to protect the palace. The Queen's advisors exchanged surprised glances. Aiden had done what they hadn't expected. The translator buzzed, converting her words. "You act boldly." "This is defective." Aiden smiled faintly. "Sometimes unpredictability works better than logic alone." Even as the first wave passed, the threat was not over. Rebel forces were gathering on the ground, approaching key locations. Aiden suggested a combination of human tactics and Zephyrin precision. Using their advanced transport vehicles, small groups of soldiers could flank the rebels while humans set up traps using the environment, collapsing temporary structures, creating obstacles that would slow the enemy without harming civilians. The plan was risky, but it relied on thinking differently, seeing opportunities where others saw barriers. That was human ingenuity in action. The battle began. Aiden coordinated with Zephyrin commanders, issuing instructions that combined human unpredictability with alien precision. The rebels were caught off guard. Every move Aiden made seemed counterintuitive to them. While Zephyrins were trained for perfect execution, humans could improvise, adapt, and surprise. The city's defenders gained the upper hand, pushing the rebels back with minimal casualties. In the middle of the action, Aiden noticed one of the rebel leaders attempting to bypass the palace security. He acted immediately, intercepting the target using a mix of strategy and quick thinking. It was not just luck, it was observation, analysis, and bold decision-making. By the time the Queen's personal guard arrived, the threat was neutralized. After the battle, the Queen appeared before him. She had not removed her helmet, yet Aiden could feel her approval. "You see beyond what is visible," the translator buzzed. "You understand the flow of events, not just the patterns. Humans are adaptable. That is valuable." Aiden felt a surge of pride tempered by exhaustion. He had followed his instincts, relied on his training, and trusted his mind. And it had worked. But more importantly, he felt a strange connection with the Queen. In the midst of danger, her trust in him had made all the difference. Later, when the palace was secure, Kilara requested a private audience. She guided Aiden to a quiet chamber overlooking the glowing city below. The aftermath of the rebellion was visible. Small fires were already being extinguished. Civilians and soldiers alike worked to restore order. Yet in that quiet room it was just the two of them. "You act differently than we expected," she said, her voice calm but curious through the translator. "Zypherans rely on logic. Humans, you rely on intuition. You surprise us, and that is useful." Aiden nodded, trying to remain formal while feeling a personal thrill. "I suppose that's what humans do best. Adapt, improvise, and find solutions in unexpected ways." For a moment they stood in silence, looking at the city together. Something unspoken passed between them, a recognition of capability, courage, and shared purpose. Aiden realized that this moment was rare, not just a victory but a bridge between two very different species. Then almost casually the Queen spoke again. "You understand more than tactics. You understand people, that is rare here." Aiden felt a flush of surprise. She was complimenting him not only for his skills but for his humanity. The very thing that set humans apart from even the most advanced alien civilizations. It was a recognition that he could not ignore. As he left the chamber later that evening, Aiden knew something important had changed. The Queen had seen him not just as a visitor, not just as a negotiator, but as a human being, capable, brave, and worthy of trust. And in that recognition a bond began to form. Outside, the twin moons of Zephora rose, casting silver light over the palace and city. The rebellion had been stopped, but the story was far from over. Aiden understood that there would be more challenges, more dangers, and more opportunities to prove the strength of humans among the stars. But for now, he allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. He had survived the first real test, and in doing so, he had earned the respect of the Queen, and perhaps something more, something he could not yet name. And deep inside, Aiden felt certain that the days ahead would demand every ounce of human creativity, courage, and heart. Because on Zephora, as in all places, it was not just technology that mattered, it was the human spirit. The morning sun of Zephora spilled across the city like molten silver. Captain Aiden Cross felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as he prepared to leave the palace for the first time outside the formal corridors. Yesterday had been a test of human ingenuity, and he had passed. Today, Kailara, the Zypheran Queen, had invited him to see the world beyond the palace walls. He adjusted his uniform and stepped into the transport vehicle that would take him across the city. The vehicle hovered quietly, gliding above the streets and giving him a view of the alien metropolis. It was alive, filled with light and motion, yet everything moved in perfect harmony. The city's design was unlike anything on Earth. Buildings shimmered as if they were part of the air itself. Roads curved in impossible arcs, and creatures that walked beside the humans moved with grace and intelligence. "Captain Cross," the translator buzzed as the Queen spoke from her seat across from him. "Today you will see Zephora as we experience it." Beyond politics and ceremony, Aiden nodded, trying to remain composed, though his curiosity surged. He had seen alien worlds from a distance, studied them from orbit, and analyzed their cities from satellite images, but nothing compared to seeing the living planet up close. He was eager, but also aware of the importance of making a good impression. The vehicle descended into a glowing forest, where the trees seemed to pulse with light. Aiden stepped out, and the air felt different, warmer, alive with the hum of energy that he could not explain. Creatures with translucent skin and glowing eyes watched them from a distance, curious but not threatening. The forest was breathtaking, filled with colors that Earth had never known. It was beautiful and alien, yet it felt welcoming. Kailara moved beside him, her posture straight, her helmet reflecting the shimmering light. She spoke quietly, yet her words carried weight. "This forest is ancient. It remembers the Zypherans just as we remember it. Humans see nature as a tool. Here it is a partner." Aiden nodded, absorbing the meaning behind her words. "It's alive," he said softly, more to himself than to her. "Yes," she replied. "Life here is not only survival. It is understanding, connection, and respect. That is why the rebellion was troubling. They do not understand this." As they walked, Aiden noticed how the Queen moved with grace and confidence. She navigated the forest as if she had been born there. Each step deliberate, each movement measured. And yet, there was a gentleness in the way she observed her surroundings, a curiosity that mirrored his own. They reached a clearing where a stream ran like liquid crystal. The water glimmered, reflecting colors Aiden could not name. Kailara gestured toward the stream, and the translator buzzed. "Life here is delicate. Every action affects the whole. Humans often act without seeing consequences, yet you saved many yesterday by thinking ahead. That is promising. Aiden felt a sense of pride but also humility. He was learning that intelligence alone was not enough on Zephora. Observation, respect, and creativity were equally important. Humans had the latter too in abundance if they were willing to see and act. They spent hours walking through forests, hills, and strange, glowing fields. Aiden asked questions about Zephyran culture, their values, and their history. Kalara answered with patience, revealing details of her people that few outsiders had ever known. The Zephyrans were a logical species, yet their appreciation for beauty, harmony, and emotion was deeper than he could have imagined. As the day went on, they reached a high plateau overlooking a vast ocean of liquid that shimmered like a mirror. Waves of light rolled across the surface, reflecting the twin moons that now rose in the sky. Aiden felt a sense of awe. The world was breathtaking, and he realized how small humans were in the grand scale of the universe, yet how much impact they could have. Kalara stood beside him, silent for a long moment. Then quietly she said through the translator, "You understand more than most. You see not only what is, but what could be, that is, rare." Aiden turned toward her, startled by the depth in her words. I try," he said. "It's what humans do. We look for solutions, not just problems." There was a pause, and for the first time, Aiden felt the Queen's presence in a personal way, not just as a ruler, but as a being capable of thought, feeling, and curiosity. She had always been distant, formal, and commanding. But here in the quiet of this alien world, he felt something more and a hint of connection, of understanding that transcended species. "Captain Cross," she said quietly, almost hesitantly, "you do not fear what is unknown. You embrace it, that is admirable." Aiden felt a sudden warmth in his chest. It was not just pride, it was something more. He realized that this was not just about strategy, diplomacy, or even survival. This was about humans and Zephyrans seeing each other as more than strangers, more than species. Then, in a private gesture, Kalara did something that no one else had ever seen. She removed her helmet. The visor lifted smoothly, revealing her face. Aiden froze. Her features were unlike anything he had imagined. She had the elegance of her species, with high cheekbones and luminous skin. Yet there was a familiarity in her eyes, a human-like warmth and depth that made his heart race. Her hair shimmered faintly, catching the light of the alien moons, and her expression was open, curious, and Aiden felt a rush of emotion he had not expected. He did not understand why, but at that moment he felt an instant connection, a sense of admiration and something deeper, something human. The Queen's presence, her courage, and her trust in him combined to create a feeling he could not explain, a mixture of awe, respect, and fascination. You are not what I imagined," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Kalara smiled faintly, a gesture so subtle it almost seemed impossible. "And you are?" "Not what we imagined either," she replied. Her words, through the translator, carried weight. She did not just mean humans in general. She meant him, specifically. They stood in silence for a long moment, looking at the ocean of light below. Aiden felt his mind racing, trying to process the intensity of the moment. The Queen had trusted him with her true face, a gesture that few could even imagine. It was not just vulnerability, it was a bridge between their worlds. Finally, Kalara spoke again. "Humans are bold. You act even when you do not know the outcome. That is a quality we value, yet often lack. Yesterday you saved many lives. Today you understand our world, and now you understand me in a small way." Aiden swallowed, feeling the weight of her words. I hope I can continue to learn," he said. "About your people, about you, and about this world." Kalara nodded. "Then you will. But you must understand, Captain Cross, that understanding comes not only from observation, but from experience. You must see, act, and feel." The rest of the day passed with them exploring hidden valleys, bioluminescent forests, and quiet sanctuaries where Zephorans meditated and connected with nature. Aiden observed everything, asked questions, and learned not only about the alien world but also about the Queen herself. She was intelligent, strong, and confident, yet capable of curiosity, humor, and kindness, traits that made her more human than many humans he had known. By the time night fell, and the twin moons reflected on the ocean, Aiden realized that he had crossed an invisible line. He no longer saw Kaylara only as a queen or a ruler. He saw her as a being capable of thought, emotion, and connection. And he felt something stirring inside him. Admiration, respect, and a strange, compelling attraction. For her part, Kaylara seemed to observe him in the same way. Humans were unpredictable, yes, but they were also brave, adaptable, and capable of understanding in ways her people sometimes could not. Aiden had shown not only courage but insight, empathy, and respect. He had impressed her in ways no one else had. As they returned to the palace later that night, the connection between them lingered in the quiet moments, in the shared glances, and in the unspoken understanding that had begun to form. A bridge had been built between human and queen, between curiosity and wisdom, between two worlds. And Aiden knew, deep in his heart, that this was only the beginning. There would be more challenges, more discoveries, and perhaps more moments like this. Moments where the human spirit could shine, where courage and empathy could transcend species, and where something extraordinary could happen between two beings from different worlds. For now, though he allowed himself a rare feeling, hope. Hope that humans could matter in this galaxy. Hope that trust could build bridges even between the most different of worlds. Hope that perhaps even a queen could see a human not just as a visitor, but as a friend, and maybe even something more. The quiet morning of Zephora did not last long. Captain Aiden Cross awoke to the sharp buzz of his communicator. The translator crackled urgently in his ear. "Captain Cross, this is urgent. Rebel forces have regrouped and are advancing on the capital. Queen Kaylara requests your immediate presence." Aiden leapt out of bed, his mind racing. He had expected challenges, but nothing could have prepared him for a full-scale attack on the heart of Zephora. He quickly donned his uniform, grabbed his equipment, and ran toward the palace command center. Every step felt heavier than the last, but determination pushed him forward. The palace was in motion. Guards rushed through corridors. Holographic maps flickered with incoming threats, and the air hummed with tension. The rebels were not merely causing disturbances now. They had coordinated a calculated strike aimed at destabilizing the Queen's rule. Aiden's heart pounded not with fear but with anticipation. He had trained for crises like this, and he knew humans could adapt where others might fail. Queen Kaylara stood at the center of the command hall, helmet on, her posture calm but commanding. She looked at Aiden, and even behind her visor he could sense the trust in her gaze. "Captain Cross," she said through the translator, "your strategies will be crucial. We must combine your unpredictability with our technology to defend Zephora." Aiden nodded. "Understood, Your Majesty. Let's protect your people." They moved to the holographic map. The rebels were advancing in multiple directions, aiming to seize key transport hubs and communication towers. Aiden quickly analyzed the city layout. Unlike the structured, logical Zephyran strategies, the rebels had left small gaps, predictable by logic yet exploitable with creativity. "We can divide their forces," Aiden suggested. "Some of our teams will act as decoys to draw attention. Others, using transport vehicles, can flank and cut off their reinforcements. Timing is crucial. We must act before they reach the palace perimeter." An advisor hesitated. "It is risky. If any plan fails, the capital could fall." Aiden looked the advisor in the eyes. "I know it's risky, but sometimes the most effective solution isn't the safest path. It's the one that no one expects." Kaylara's translator buzzed. "Your methods are unconventional, Captain, but I trust your judgment." With that, the operation began. Aiden coordinated human and Zephyran teams, issuing orders that combined precise timing with improvisation. He relied on observation, predicting the rebels' moves and adjusting strategies in real time. The first engagement took place near a transportation hub. Rebel forces moved with efficiency, but Aiden anticipated their route. He ordered barricades to be placed, not as solid walls but in clever ways that slowed the enemy and guided them into controlled zones. Zephyran soldiers, trained for perfection, adapted to his instructions with a mixture of surprise and trust. Drones buzzed overhead, aiming to disrupt their defenses. Aiden quickly hacked into their control frequencies, a human touch of improvisation that caused confusion among the rebels. Their formations faltered. Aiden seized the moment, directing flanking teams to intercept them. The city streets became a maze of controlled chaos. Humans and Zephyrans worked side by side, combining instincts, creativity, and technology. The rebels, though advanced, had not anticipated the adaptability of humans in battle. Aiden's decisions turned the tide, proving that courage and quick thinking could rival even the most sophisticated technology. During the fighting, Aiden noticed one of the rebel leaders attempting to infiltrate a critical communication tower. He acted instantly, racing across the rooftops to intercept the target. Using a combination of agility, logic, and quick thinking, he trapped the leader in a containment field before any harm could come to the tower or civilians. Kaylara arrived shortly after, overseeing the operation. She moved with precision, giving commands to her troops and coordinating defenses, yet it was clear she was impressed by Aiden's actions. Even behind her helmet, the subtle tilt of her head and the careful observation of his maneuvers spoke volumes. By midday, the rebels were contained. Many surrendered, realizing that the combined human-Zephyrin defense was stronger than they had anticipated. Aiden's tactics had minimized casualties, protected civilians, and preserved the integrity of the city. The Queen's people had witnessed human courage and ingenuity in action, and it left an impression on all of them. After the battle, the Queen requested a debriefing in a private chamber. She stood by the window looking at the city below. Fires were being extinguished, citizens were emerging from shelters, and the streets slowly returned to normal. "Captain Cross," she said softly through the translator, "your actions saved countless lives today. Not only humans, but my people. You demonstrate the value of unpredictability, courage, and trust. We often rely solely on precision. Today you reminded us that there is strength in adaptability." Aiden felt a mix of pride and humility. "I did what anyone would do," he said. "I followed my instincts and I acted to protect your people. Humans may be unpredictable, but we care deeply about others, and that drives us to find solutions." Kaylara's presence was quiet, yet powerful. "You are more than a visitor, Captain Cross. You are an example of what humans can bring to the galaxy: creativity, courage, and heart." For a moment, Aiden was speechless. He realized that this was more than a simple compliment. It was a recognition of humans as capable, valuable, and heroic. A validation of everything he had been fighting for, not just in battle, but in humanity's place among the stars. Then, she spoke again, her tone softer, more personal. "I trust you, not because I must, but because I see that your intentions are honorable. That is rare, that is remarkable." Aiden felt warmth in his chest. Her words carried weight beyond politics or duty. They were personal, genuine, and meaningful. He realized that this bond, forged in action and trust, was something extraordinary. A connection that crossed species, culture, and expectation. Later that evening, Aiden was invited to a quieter part of the palace. They walked together through gardens illuminated by bioluminescent flowers. The air was calm, the city silent beneath them, and the moonlight reflected on pools of water that shimmered like liquid silver. "You have proven humans are more than physical strength or intelligence," Kaylara said, her helmet now removed, revealing her serene and captivating face. "You have shown heart, courage, and innovation. These qualities, they inspire." Aiden looked at her, truly seeing her for the first time since yesterday. Her eyes reflected the light of the moons, and her calm confidence made him feel both humbled and drawn toward her. "I only did what I thought was right," he said. "But it's good to know it matters, even here." Kaylara nodded. "It matters greatly. You have reminded us that even in the most advanced society, heart and adaptability can change the course of events. Your people are capable of greatness. That is why I trust you." Aiden realized in that moment that human courage and ingenuity were not just useful in battle. They were bridges between worlds. They allowed understanding, respect, and connection where none might have existed before. And perhaps, he thought quietly, it was possible for humans to influence not only the present but the future of the galaxy. As they walked back to the palace, Aiden felt a quiet sense of accomplishment, but also a new understanding of responsibility. Trust had been earned, and with it came the potential to shape more than just the outcome of one conflict. The future of Zephora, and perhaps the galaxy, could be influenced by the choices humans made, by the courage and heart they brought to every challenge. And somewhere deep inside, Aiden felt a connection growing, not just with Zephora, not just with the Queen, but with the possibilities that lay ahead, possibilities that only humans could create through courage, adaptability, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. For the first time, he understood what it meant to be truly valued across worlds, and it was a feeling he would carry with him forever. The city of Zephora was quiet once more, the twin moons casting silver reflections on the spires and streets below. The rebellion had been defeated, thanks to the combined efforts of human ingenuity and Zephoran technology. Captain Aidan Cross walked alongside Queen Kalara through the palace gardens, their steps light but purposeful. The air was filled with the hum of life, calm now after the chaos of battle. Kalara removed her helmet completely, allowing her face to be fully visible. The gesture was bold, a symbol of trust and openness not just to Aidan, but to humanity. Her luminous eyes reflected the light of the bioluminescent flowers, and for the first time she allowed herself a small smile. Aidan felt his chest tighten, a mixture of admiration, respect, and something far deeper. "You have done more than protect my people," Kalara said, her voice soft through the translator. "You have reminded us of the value of courage, heart, and creativity. Humans are remarkable." Aidan bowed slightly, trying to mask the emotion he felt. "I only did what I thought was right. That's what humans do. We adapt, we think, and we act when it matters." Kalara studied him closely. "And in doing so you have earned not only my respect but the respect of all Zephora. Today, you have changed the way we see your people. Today, you have changed history." The words struck Aidan. Humans had always been underestimated in the galaxy, seen as simple, emotional, or fragile. Yet here, on this alien world, his actions and the qualities of his people had proven otherwise. It was more than a victory in battle. It was a testament to the human spirit, to creativity, courage, and compassion. The Queen paused and looked out over the city. "Captain, we face a choice now. We can isolate ourselves, continue as before, or we can embrace what we have learned. We can cooperate with humans, not only for survival, but for progress. You have shown us that humanity can be a force for good, a partner in shaping the future." Aidan felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. "We want peace. We want to share knowledge, help each other grow. Humans are not perfect, but we believe in possibilities. And we are willing to act, even when it's difficult, to protect what matters." Kalara nodded slowly. "Then we shall work together. The humans will be welcome here. Your courage and heart will not be forgotten." News of the victory and the cooperation spread quickly through the city. Citizens, soldiers, and advisors alike began to see humans not as outsiders, but as allies. Aidan's actions, his creativity under pressure, and his willingness to take risks had bridged a gap that logic alone could not. Humans were no longer just observers of the galaxy. They were partners, capable of shaping events and inspiring even the most advanced civilizations. Later in the palace council chamber, Aidan and Kalara addressed both human and Zephyran leaders. Holographic images of the city and the recent battle flashed around them. Kalara spoke first, her voice clear and commanding. "Today, we have learned something important. Strength is not measured by technology alone. Courage, heart, and adaptability can shape the outcome of any challenge. Humans have proven this. They are not merely visitors. They are allies and friends." Aidan followed, speaking with sincerity and calm authority. "Humans are proud to be here. We have much to learn, but we also bring our own strengths, creativity, courage, and the willingness to act. Together we can build a future that benefits both our worlds. Today, we have shown that cooperation, trust, and understanding can overcome even the greatest obstacles." The room was silent for a moment, then filled with applause and approval from both species. Aidan glanced at Kalara. Behind her calm expression, he saw pride, trust, and a hint of something more personal, something that transcended duty or politics. As the celebrations continued, Aidan and Kalara found a quiet place overlooking the city. The twin moons reflected on the ocean below, and the light of the bioluminescent forests shimmered in the distance. "You have changed Zephora, Captain Cross," Kalara said softly. "Not just through action, but through example. Humans can inspire, and you have inspired us. I trust you completely." Aiden felt a warmth in his chest. "I trust you too, Kalara. You've shown me that even the most advanced civilizations can learn, adapt, and grow. And you've shown me that courage and heart are universal no matter the species." For the first time, they stood together not as ruler and visitor, but as equals, friends, and perhaps something more. The air between them was filled with unspoken understanding, a bond forged through crisis, trust, and shared experience. The Queen reached out and Aiden took her hand. It was a simple gesture, yet it spoke volumes. It symbolized trust, connection, and the possibility of something new. A future where humans and Zephorans could walk together, united not only by necessity, but by choice. As they looked out over the city, Aiden felt a sense of hope unlike anything he had experienced before. The rebellion was over, but the story of cooperation, trust, and the human spirit was just beginning. Humans had shown their value, not through domination or power, but through courage, heart, and the willingness to act when it mattered most. Kalara smiled faintly. "Captain, the future is uncertain, but with humans and Zephyrans working together, it is brighter than ever." Aiden nodded. "And we will face it together. Whatever comes, we will act with courage, heart, and creativity. That is what humans do. That is what we can offer." For a long moment they stood in silence, hand in hand, looking out at the city below. The night was calm, the stars reflected in the twin moons, and the air was filled with the quiet hum of life. They had faced danger, uncertainty, and doubt. They had proven that humans could inspire, lead, and protect even in the most alien of worlds. And as they stood together, Aiden realized that humans were not just survivors or explorers. They were heroes, capable of bridging worlds, shaping futures, and leaving a lasting mark wherever they went. In that moment, he understood why he had come to Zyphera, why he had been chosen for this mission, and why he had felt a strange pull toward the Queen from the very beginning. Humanity had a place here, not as conquerors, but as partners. And, perhaps in doing so, they could create something greater than any one species could achieve alone. The city below them glimmered in celebration, the people safe and the future uncertain yet promising. Aiden knew that his journey, and humanity's journey, was far from over. But for the first time, he felt a quiet confidence. The human spirit had proven itself. Courage, creativity, and heart could shape the galaxy, and with Kalara at his side, the possibilities were endless. The Queen turned to him, her eyes shining with a mix of respect, admiration, and something more profound. "Captain Cross," she said, "humans are extraordinary. You have shown us that. And now, I am glad you are here." Aiden smiled, feeling a rush of emotion he could not fully describe. "And I am glad to be here, Kalara, with you, with your people. Together, we can face whatever comes." As they stood side by side, hand in hand, the twin moons reflected on their joined silhouettes. The city of Zephora slept peacefully below, its citizens safe, and the bond between worlds stronger than ever. Humanity had not only survived in an alien land, but had proven its value, courage, and heart. And in that moment, Captain Aiden Cross understood something simple yet powerful. The human spirit, when guided by courage, compassion, and creativity, could shine brighter than any star. The future was theirs, a future of hope, unity, and endless possibilities.